how's everybody doing? Let's go. Let's talk a little bit today with you rock stars about comparing and ordering. Look at all those small words underneath. Yeah, we're going to compare integers and exponents and square roots and all the fun little guys. If you've been watching my videos, you know that we've been building up to this, okay? We've been building up to the idea that we start with integers, which is positive and negative whole numbers, and get into the opposite of the whole numbers and zero, and then those are easier to compare. Then we throw in exponents and square roots and absolute value, and like, oh, let's throw those in there. We build up to this kind of tricky point where now we're at percents, decimals, and fractions. And yes, we're going to go past that, and we're going to get to all the irrational numbers, all rational numbers, and even the entire real number system together. It's going to be a rocking good time, y'all. It just kind of reminds me of like this time I saw my friend, and I saw like she likes to draw her eyebrows on. I said, I think you're drawing them too high. And then she looked surprised. Because she drew them on too high, like this. And she's just surprised. She's like, I'm surprised. Okay. Like I just said, we're going to talk about comparing and ordering. Comparing, which one's bigger, which one's smaller. Ordering, putting them in order from least to greatest or greatest to least. Okay, so let's start with this. And I'm going to challenge you guys to really think about not just doing conversions and figuring out how this one relates to a percent or this one relates to... Sometimes just look at the problem there, and your understanding of math will make life so much easier for you. For example, you may be contemplated to say, okay, I got a mixed number right here, and I also have a percent. Let's turn them both into percents, or let's turn them both into a mixed number. But if you know math and you understand how percents, decimals, and fractions work, we know that in their most basic form, percents and decimals and fractions, when you don't take whole numbers involved, they're a part of a whole, right? So like, for example, this 7/8, okay, that's a part of a whole. So it's somewhere between 0 and 1. Okay, and when we do percents, if we go from 0 to 100%, we're really saying it's something between 0 and 1. Like a pizza, right? A whole pizza, if I ate the whole thing, it'd be 100%. If I didn't eat any of it, it'd be 0%. So it wouldn't be bigger than 100%. Okay, and same thing with decimals. When I look at a decimal and I got 0.674, okay, this over here is a 0, which means our answer is somewhere between 0 and 1. Okay, but now we got a situation here where we have 2 wholes and 7/10, and then over here we have more than 127%. Can we look at this and solve this without doing any form of like, conversions or whatever? And the answer is yes, because what did I say a whole pizza represents when we're talking about percent? We said it's 100%. A whole classroom that loves dad jokes, that's 100%. A whole country who loves skipping, that's 100%. So the whole group that we're talking about is 100%. So 1 equals 100%. Well, I have a 2 over here. I have 2 wholes. So right off the bat, this number over here is 200% or more. And we already know this one is 127%. So this is bigger, because we could turn this into whatever we want to turn it into, but it's just going to be 200 and something else percent. And 200% is already bigger than 127%. You see how you can think your way through those? Let's see if we can do it on this one. Okay, this one says we have 225%, and this one says we have 17/8. Okay, so let's figure out, can we do anything tricky with that? Well, we know that this is 225%, so it's 2 wholes and some kind of fraction after it. What is this one going to be equal to? Well, we have 17/8. So think of when you're looking at the bottom number, we're saying something is broken into 8 parts. So we have a pizza, it's broken into 8 slices. I know, I only talk about pizza, but that's how I love to talk about fractions. So I have a pizza that's cut into 8 slices. All right, look at that pizza. So that's 1 whole. Well, that would be 8/8. Okay. And we have 17/8. So this is clearly more than 1 whole pizza. What if we had another whole pizza? What would a whole pizza and a whole pizza equal as a fraction? Okay. Well, it's still cut into 8 slices. And how many do we have so far with 2 wholes? We have 16/8. Okay. So now we know we have 2 wholes plus it says 17/8, and we did 16/8. So we have another 1/8 left over. So I can kind of scribble this out and say we have 2 wholes and something else. We have a fraction. So this is 1/8. So we could almost solve this, but now we need to know what the rest of this is, okay? Because we have 2 wholes and we just can't tell which one's bigger yet. All right, so let me erase a bunch of stuff here and say that we have, let's go. We have 2 and 1. Oh my goodness. We have 2. Here we go again with the technical difficulties. Okay, we have 2 and 1/8, and we have 2 and something. So I'm going to erase this and say now we have to turn that into a fraction so we can solve this bad boy. Okay, so 225. How do you turn a percent into a fraction? Okay, a percent is always the percent number over 100. Okay, so then you can get rid of the percent sign. So now we have 225 over 100. Okay, so let's turn this into a fraction. Okay, now we could do this whole thing, which I'm showing you right now, but we already know something, don't we? Don't we already know something? We know that 200% is 2 wholes. So let's just backtrack what I'm just saying right here, and let's eliminate that whole die and get rid of 200 of the percent. Again, I'm trying to get you to think a little differently. If we get rid of 200%, so it's 225. So 200% of that is a whole. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. Okay, so that would be, we already have 2 wholes. Now we just got to deal with this 25%. And 25% now, we know, get rid of the percent sign and put it over 100. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So how do we turn 25 100 into a simpler fraction? Do you guys know of any number that goes into 25 and 100? Yep, 25 goes into both of them because if 4 quarters equal $1, 4 quarters and $1 is like 100, right? 100 pennies. So 25 goes into both of these. So I have to divide the top and the bottom by 25. What's 25 divided by 25? It's 1. And what's 100 divided by 25? It's 4. So our simpler fraction is 2 and 1/4. So now we're comparing 2 and 1/8 and 2 and 1/4. Look at how far we've come. We know that we had 2 whole pizzas and we had 2 whole pizzas. We're equal so far. We got to figure out which is bigger, an 1/8 or a 1/4. Well, let's look at it as a picture. We have a pizza cut into 8 slices, and this one we have a pizza cut into 4 slices. Which is bigger? This guy ate 1/4. This guy ate 1/8. Ooh, that's a tiny little sliver, isn't it? 1/8 is smaller than 1/4. So now we've got our answer. 2 and 1/4 is bigger than 2 and 1/8. Crazy. All right, and let's do one more, okay? Now we're looking at taking these 5 numbers and putting them in order. So not comparing, now we're putting them in order from descending order. So descending order means we're going downhill, and we are trying to go from the biggest number downhill to the smallest number, okay? So that's our goal by the end of this problem, all right? Now, let's go ahead and look at these problems and see what we can do. So let's look at the first one. Let's just do one at a time and put it on the number line and see what happens. We have 2 to the 3rd, which means we have a base of 2, and it's to the 3rd power, so we write those down 3 times, and we solve. What's 2 times 2? It's 4. We got another 2. What's 4 times 2? It's 8. So 2 to the 3rd equals 8. Let's go up to the 8, and let's go straight down below it and say that is 2 to the 3rd. All right. Let's see what you're doing there, big fella. Let's keep rolling, all right? So now we've got 17/8. Well, we just did that, didn't we? Didn't we just do 17/8? We said we had 2 wholes and 17/8. So that means we had 8/8. We have a pizza. Let's make it into a mixed number because this number line will help us with mixed numbers, right? So now we have 2 wholes, which is 8/8, and another 8/8. Remember we did this and it gave us 16/8. So that means we have 2 wholes and we had 1/8 left over. So this answer was 2 and 1/8. So I'm going to get rid of this so I just have something simpler to write. And that was equal to 2 and 1/8. So where does that go? We go up here to 2, and it's going to, in the middle there is going to be 3 if you see that. And we're just going to be real close to the 2 because that would be 2 and 1/8. So it's 2 and a little bit more, okay? So my dot should be right in there somewhere, okay? Let's go to the next one. Oh, we don't have to do any converting. It's 3.234. So that means it's 3 and a part of a whole. So 3 and a little bit more. So where's our 3? We said 3 was right there. So 3.24 is going to be somewhere in there. So let's come down here and I'll put that 3.234. Okay, now we got this guy and it's 2 and 3/8. Oh, well this one was 2 and 1/8. So what's bigger, 2 and 1/8 or 2 and 3/8? Yeah, 2 and 3/8. So it's going to be a little bit bigger than 2 and 1/8. So I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to say it is 2 and 3/8. And now we got one more guy. That's it. One more dude. We got 200%. We've talked about 200% a couple times, right? One whole pizza is 100%. So what would 200% be? Yeah, it would be 2 wholes. So we go over here to where the 2 actually is, and we come over here and we say 200%. Now I made one little mistake in there, which is always like a snafu that I tell my kids never to do. This one is 17/8, and we converted it into 2 and 1/8. When we write on our number line, always use the original value. So it was 17/8. So I'm going to erase this 2 and 1/8, and I'm going to write in what it really was to start with, which was 17/8. Okay. Now we want to start with the big. We want to start with the big. So let me erase all this nonsense jargon over here, so I can put these in order from descending order. What's the biggest number you see? Well, the biggest number you see is 2 to the 3rd, because it's over here on this side of the number line. And then we're just going to go downhill. All right, so the next is 3.234. Okay, and after that, if I look at my number line, it goes, the next one down was this guy, which is 2 and 3/8. And then where do we go after that? We go to 17/8. And then where do we go the last guy? 200%. Who would have thought, looking at those numbers, that 200% was the smallest number? I did. I thought it all along. What do you think about that? Okay. So you just got to play with the numbers, figure out where they go, and make sure they're positive. I didn't even give you any negatives, but there could be. But those would be on the number line, which I know you know how to use. So convert them. Use your common sense first, though. Use what you understand about numbers to see if some of them you can figure out before doing all this calculations, because sometimes it's useless. And you look back and like, oh, well, of course 200% was bigger than 0.4. Okay? So, did you guys hear about the 2 dudes who stole a calendar? Yeah, they each got 6 months. See you, rock stars. I feel like I need to explain that one a little bit, because a calendar is 12 months. It's like a math problem. 2 guys stole it. One got 6 months, one got 6 months, and they're moving on with their life, except they each got 6 months.